The ancient city of Babylon, a marvel of the ancient world, known for its towering ziggurats, its wealth, its culture, and above all, its invincible walls. At its height, Babylon was not merely a city, it was a symbol of power, prosperity, and prestige. A city thought to be untouchable by any army, any empire. But in 521 BCE, that image of invincibility was shattered, not by war machines, not by overwhelming numbers, but by a man, a Persian noble named Zopyrus. This is the true story of how one man's brutal sacrifice brought down the greatest city of its time. To understand the fall of Babylon, we first need to understand the power it once held. Babylon was the beating heart of Mesopotamia. It had stood for centuries as a center of learning, commerce, and religious significance. It was the home of Hammurabi, the lawgiver, and the city said to house the legendary Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Whether the gardens were real or not, they represented the city's grand reputation. Its walls were its most iconic defense, reportedly wide enough for chariots to pass each other on top, stretching over 11 miles in circumference and standing dozens of meters tall. For ancient warfare, these were defenses that made siege weapons look almost laughable. But then came the Persian Empire. Under Cyrus the Great, the Persians had taken Babylon once before, in 539 BCE, reportedly without bloodshed. But after Cyrus's death, his son Cambyses ruled briefly before his mysterious death, leaving the empire in turmoil. Enter Darius I. Darius was not the direct heir to Cyrus. He seized power in a chaotic time, claiming legitimacy through clever propaganda and brute force. Many across the empire viewed him as a usurper. Revolts flared up everywhere, including Babylon. In 522 BCE, the Babylonians rose up again. They declared independence from Persian rule. They sealed their gates, and once more, they proclaimed themselves free. This was no minor rebellion. Babylon was wealthy, well-fortified, and commanded strategic control of the region. Darius knew he couldn't allow this defiance to stand. Losing Babylon meant losing the empire's heartland, and perhaps inspiring further uprisings. So he marched to retake the city. But Babylon was ready. Siege after siege failed. For over a year, the Persians tried to break through its walls. Food was stockpiled inside. Morale was high. The Babylonians mocked the besieging armies. They had done this before. They could outlast them again. But among Darius's forces was a man named Zopyrus. Zopyrus was a nobleman, a general, and the son of Megabyzus, a powerful and trusted advisor. He had status. He had rank. But more importantly, he had a ruthless kind of loyalty to Darius. As the siege dragged on, Zopyrus came to a conclusion that few others would dare even consider. If Babylon could not be taken from the outside, it had to fall from within. He devised a plan so extreme, so brutal that even his own allies were horrified. He would fake a betrayal, and to make it convincing, he would mutilate himself. Zopyrus cut off his own nose. He sliced off his ears. He had himself whipped and beaten so savagely that no one could doubt his suffering. He would claim to the Babylonians that Darius had punished him unjustly, and that he now sought revenge. When he appeared at the gates of Babylon, bloodied and disfigured, the story held. The Babylonians welcomed him as a defector, a powerful Persian general cast aside by his own king. They saw in him a man of value, someone with military experience, someone with a vendetta, and someone who could help them defend their city. Zopyrus was given a position in Babylon's defense. At first minor, but over weeks and months he proved himself. He led successful raids against Persian forces, raids staged and carefully coordinated with Darius. He gained trust. He climbed the ranks. Eventually, Zopyrus was granted command over key defensive gates in the city. He had infiltrated Babylon, and now he waited. Then the final stage of the plan began. Zopyrus ordered several of Babylon's outer gates to be opened under false pretenses. He allowed in small contingents of Persian soldiers, secretly and strategically. Bit by bit, Darius's forces slipped inside, and then, on an appointed night, the main gates opened wide. The full force of the Persian army poured into Babylon. The city, so proud of its impenetrable walls, fell not with the roar of battering rams, but with the silence of betrayal. The people were caught off guard. The rebellion crumbled. Babylon, mighty, majestic, and defiant, was once again under Persian control. When Darius entered the city, he reportedly lavished Zopyrus with gifts, lands, and honors. He was hailed as a hero of the empire, the man who saved Persia and crushed the rebellion. But not everyone viewed him as a hero. To the Babylonians, he was a traitor of the highest order, a man who destroyed them from within, a man whose deception brought ruin to one of the greatest cities the world had ever seen. Even today, historians debate Zopyrus's legacy. Was he a loyal servant of his king, sacrificing his body and reputation for the good of the empire? Or was he a brutal, cunning deceiver, a man willing to destroy lives and legacies for political ends? What we do know is that Zopyrus's actions worked, and in the world of ancient empires, results mattered more than ethics. Herodotus, the Greek historian, tells us this story as a lesson in strategy, sacrifice, and statecraft. Whether every detail is exactly true, we may never know. Some scholars question the extent of Zopyrus's mutilation, or even if he existed as described. But the story, preserved for millennia, speaks to a truth about history. Sometimes it's not armies or weapons that change the world. Sometimes it's a single man, a single decision, a single betrayal. Zopyrus's scars may have healed, but the wound he inflicted on Babylon would never be forgotten.